baby.
Allegedly.
We're officially live, so now
Oh
is
shit!
now we can turn up the
we're on the air?
raunchy
Damn it.
behavior.
All right, now I gotta straighten up now.
Wait,
Damn it.
we have to turn up the raunchy behavior. I don't know if I can do that. I think I already did that, and like everything down here from here on out is like just like downward.
I like to run.
Really? I mean, like I could tell you some interesting stories, but like, I don't know if they're D&D
God,
related.
yeah. We could make them D&D related. Like, how do you know if a girl's into bondage?
I don't.
You ask her
I don't,
what
I
kind
don't,
of dungeon master she likes. I think I butchered that joke.
Yeah, it's lackluster. I mean, like you're trying, and I appreciate that you're trying.
You're doing my best.
That's
I mean,
all. That's
if
all
you
I
could
ask.
see my face, it would be like it would definitely have the what the fuck kind of look on it.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it was something. It was an attempt. It was an attempt.
Well, it almost kind of lingered into the dad joke territory a little bit.
Like creepy dad joke.
Well, I know
creepy
that.
dad joke.
All your jokes are heading that direction, so I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm wearing it well.
You need to be a little more youthful. I think that's what he's saying. It's like
did our ancient dragon just tell me I need to be more youthful?
That's pretty bad if I have to tell you.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's what he said.
Reclaimer, Bex, Shade, what are we calling you tonight? You here?
Yeah, Bex is fine.
Bex.
All right.
Bex, how are you doing? Good to have you.
I have had a busy night.
Oh.
Good busy, bad busy, mediocre busy.
It was fun, but I'm tired. I worked all day too, so.
Okay. I don't think we've ever met before, or at least haven't talked. My name's George. You can call me. I don't care. You can just call me whatever. But it's nice to meet you, Bex.
You too.
Alrighty. Well, we got a bunch of stuff to go over, but I figure, give it a minute here. I'm excited for this one, and then next week we're gonna be doing fudging rolls. Also excited for. Very excited for that.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
I got into some. I don't usually argue with people on Facebook just based on principle, but I got into some pretty heated discussions with folks on the book face.
I think fudging rolls is one of those topics that like normally people are one or the other on, and there's not really much of an in between. I think for the most part, but that's also not what we're supposed to be talking about tonight.
That's true. Tonight we are. And why don't we go around the table and do the usual introduction? Let's start with our new guest here tonight, because both Chaos and Artificer are regulars on the show. Bex, my lovely player. Bex has been a player. Actually, I played with Bex first in a campaign run by one of our good friends, and we got to. Basically, we were the moral compasses of the party for a while.
Yeah.
And that imploded, but that's another story. And then
much longer story.
Yeah, much longer story. And then Bex came on in my main campaign, my first campaign I was running, and I actually brought her on as a PvP boss. And she 1v4'd the whole party in the most
same level.
Yeah, same level, in the most beautiful and magnificent of manner, to where I was just like, okay, PvP. We got to think about that next time. I also think having you is what ended that campaign prematurely, which was was awesome, honestly.
Mixed signals, and I jumped the gun on a certain plot point and triggered the final boss fight that we were like 4 levels too low to go to, and then we actually won, but we all died too.
We is a strong word. No, yeah, it took everyone. Everyone played their part, but only one character survived that. That was pretty intense.
We were like level 15.
Yeah,
fighting like a level 20 intended encounter.
Yeah, it was good. That was one of my most memorable battles to date. But not mixed signals. I'll just say you had player agency, and you went the way you thought was best for you.
Yeah.
Memorable as hell. But I brought Bex here tonight because Bex is really knowledgeable about character creation and makes just outstanding characters mechanically and roleplay wise and Flavor Town wise. And so I just thought that she would be a huge asset. So tell everyone how long you've been playing D&D and what your experience is and what have you.
Oh Jesus, like 22 years. um, AD&D, third
I'm
edition, 3.5, 4th edition, Pathfinder, 5th edition. I mean, all the D&Ds, except for, the Artificer has me beat by a little bit.
Like 20 years, I think.
yeah, just a smidge.
The hair.
Pretty sure he played Chainmail.
I test played Chainmail.
Oh God. Yeah.
I would say that that's a big yes there.
I was,
Awesome.
surrounded at a table with a bunch of old dudes trying to figure out something. They wanted to know if a kid would like it. So yeah.
Okay.
Damn. So just real quick, so what's your favorite part of D&D?
That's such a broad question. Creating a story with your friends.
Ooh.
I'd have to. Awesome. All right. Anything else you want to throw in there?
I don't know. Once we get into the actual mechanical part, I'll have more to add. But I think that's a good place
Cool.
to break on me.
Cool. All right. Artificer, the usual, my man.
Yeah, I'm the old guy. There you go.
All right. Moving on. Jokes. You're not just the old guy. I mean, you are the old guy. You're our old guy.
I am one of the old guys. How about that? That work?
It does. Why don't you tell everyone how long you've been playing D&D and what your favorite part of D&D is?
I have been playing D&D since its inception and even before then, so 47 years. Probably, I've played every edition. I've worked on every edition. We don't talk about 4th edition.
I like 4th edition.
Yeah, you would. Okay.
Crunchy.
It's crunchy, yes. But yeah, probably my favorite part is, I guess, this is probably why I do it, is the look on, just that look on like new players' faces that's like never actually ever played D&D before. But then, there's that moment, and then there's that interaction where you see that look on their face when the light bulb goes off. It's like, wow, I can really do just about anything I want, right? Yeah. So yeah, it's just
Pretty fantastic.
that's probably my favorite part, and I get to see that over and over again.
Yeah, that's super rewarding, right?
Very much so. Very much so. Especially when it's kids.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Adults is really good too. But I would say probably my, like younger kids, like 10 or so, is pretty good. And they kind of do that, but they're very creative and imaginative anyway. My favorite part is usually the teenagers to high schoolers,
Oh yeah.
because they have that kind of like video game background. So, they're always like, yeah. It's just that they're just always like, oh yeah, can I do that? Yeah, well you can try it. I mean,
They felt the constraints of a video game world, and now they can come into the true open world game.
exactly.
Love it. Oh, and my dog is whining to get outside. George,
Yeah.
hit us.
Yeah. So if Bex has been playing for 22 years, I've been alive for 24. So that should provide some context on that, how long I've been playing. Because I started in about middle school. So I've been playing for about 10, 12 years. So I'm definitely the young one here. But I absolutely love DMing. I don't play as much as I DM just because a lot of the time I tend to be the one that is like, hey, I really want to start a D&D game, and I don't care what I have to do to start it. So let's do something. When I am playing as a player, I'm really into role play. I tend to, if I'm playing, like if we're doing combat a lot, I tend to play a supportive class. So a bard or a cleric are my two personal favorites, where I can like make everyone else feel powerful, and I can just kind of like sit back and have some fun, or be really annoying. Like peace domain cleric. You never know. Just like something. As for my favorite part about D&D, I like puzzles. I really like puzzles.
You're
I
really
like
good
making
at them
puzzles.
too.
I like making puzzles. I like solving puzzles. Puzzles are fun. But yeah, that's basically all it is for me.
Excellent. All right. I think y'all know me, but I'll run through it again. I've been playing D&D for a little over a year now. I became a DM because no one in my group of friends was going to run the kind of game I wanted to run. They were all really great, like getting me introduced, running some one shots. My buddy Jammy even ran. God, what is it? Durgadin's Forge, Tales from the Yawning Portal, as a one shot. My character got melted by a black dragon. It was freaking rad. And yeah, so I took over, took the reins, started DMing. I've been DMing for like year and a couple months, year and change now. And definitely like collaborative storytelling is one of my all-time favorite parts. I also enjoy setting up challenging encounters and like watching players figure shit out and come up with creative, super duper fun. On that note, I think it's about time, ladies, gentlemen. Let's dive in. Our first question is coming from our Discord. If you are not in our Discord, I highly recommend join our Discord. We've got some really awesome people there. We tend to answer Discord questions first. We run a community game. This guy over here, Chaos, he does most of that work for us. Appreciate him. We rotate DMs and we rotate players, so very plug and play, drop in, drop out. Great for new players to get involved. Great for DMs to come learn. There's several DMs in our channel, and everyone's really friendly and all about growing together. So, but down there, Dungeon Divers, drop the link in the chat and on my socials and all the do. All right.
You can tell Seth's been away from the doobly doo stuff.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
doobly-doo stuff.
See what happens when he has a break. That's what.
Yeah, seriously, this is the problem with it. Is like he loses the stream of consciousness that he's been having for the.
Yeah, it's been a 2-week break for me, which it's been nice, but I've missed it a whole bunch, so I'm really happy to get back here in front of the camera with my friends. All right, so yeah, first question is coming from our beloved Barry Boy.
Jesus Christ! All right.
What are your feelings about min-maxing a character? Is there a time and place for it? This is a juicy topic. I'm gonna kick it. I know everyone should have some strong opinions on this one. So.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Let's. How much DMing have you done, Bex?
Some.
I brought you here mainly as a player voice. But
Yeah,
I was just...
it's not a good DM. I'm too adversarial. I like to win.
That can be good in certain situations. Like it always depends on the campaign.
Yeah.
that was a you don't know me.
Yeah, that's fair. No, that's fair.
Let me pass the ball to our big dog here, Artificer. What are your feelings about min-maxing? Is there a time and a place for it?
I mean, back in second edition, you had to, otherwise you didn't survive.
Fair.
Third edition's got a little bit, it's progressed, and now, I mean, honestly, it doesn't bother me. I mean, some people, that's just how they are. I mean, technically that's what I do for a job.
Yeah,
Break it.
that's true. Fair.
So I mean, it doesn't really bother me. You can min max. That's fine. There's and people. More times than not, most players that min max are a little bit more experienced players, and I kind of call those the cheat code players. They're looking for the easy way to beat the game. Okay, well you don't win at D&D. You try and survive it. So
You win when everyone has fun, guys. That's when you win D&D.
that's what I'm saying. I don't care that min maxes. Now, if that is a bothersome thing at my table, I will sit and have a discussion with a certain person or persons. But yeah, I mean, I really don't. Yeah, it doesn't really bother me. I mean, to be fair, I mean, but I guess it just comes with a lot of experience, as I don't really run anything out of the book. So if you're trying to min max and you're gonna meta game, you can do that all you want.
It will not save you.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, and I think there's this huge stigma around min-maxing, and I think it's probably just because a lot of inexperienced or less than creative DMs get frustrated. I mean, there's probably several reasons, but I think that's probably what's bred that stigma. They get frustrated because it's like, well, hey, they built their character really, really good. I've run into that frustration and had to have a sit down with myself and be like, why am I upset right now? Like, I come to find out, hey, I need to be more creative and become a better DM. Like, challenges yourself, All right. Anything else, Artificer?
No. I'm pretty good. I'm the one that's pretty adapted, like onto the fly of things. So it's like I'm okay. I can change a lot of things.
Fair. Chaos. How about you?
Yeah, I'm either really for it or really against it, and it depends on the players. And what I mean by that is, like, if I'm doing a campaign with experienced players and only experienced players, I don't care. Like, if you want to min-max your character, if you want to really exploit that, yes, do it, have fun. I guess actually the only requirement I have for someone that's min-maxing is that they also roleplay, because I've run into a couple people that will min-max without roleplaying, and that's not enjoyable for me as a DM. It's not enjoyable for other players, I find, at least. But if you know how to build a character properly, and like, if your character knows what things they want to be good at, and you're just using the knowledge that you have to be better at that, I see no issue with that. I think there's a difference between min-maxing and metagaming, however, and I think if you're metagaming, as in, like, okay, I know that this creature specifically has these resistances and these weaknesses and all this stuff, right? I mean, that's not something I run into because I always homebrew my stuff, like, just like Artificer kind of said, so it's not really a concern. But, like, if someone's doing that to me can be problematic. But, like, if someone's like, oh, like, I want to play a really strong wizard, or I really want to play a really strong paladin, and so, like, I'm going to invest my stats properly, I'm going to get certain features and, like, feats, and I'm going to get, like, prioritize certain weapons, and I'm like, yeah, okay, like, you're being smart about your character, sure. Make sure you're good at roleplay. I always like a flaw with someone's character, but, like, that's a personal choice, and, like, that's up to them. As long as they have a character that, like, actually is a character, do it. On the flip side, if I'm playing with, like, a lot of newer players, I tend to not be a fan of it. I'm running a campaign right now with some college buddies of mine. I have one experienced player, Barry Boy, who I think everyone knows here, and I have 4 other completely new players, right? And Barry Boy is just kind of like, I want to do this character, and so, like, I need to be able to do these specific things, but, like, I'm down to, like, take a stat, loss somewhere else or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, like, play our character, totally fine, do it. I have one new player that's like, I want to be really strong, though. And he's been pushing that a lot, actually, recently, so I've had to have some conversations with him and be like, hey, so I'm really interested, like, I want you to get that, right? But you're asking to be able to fly before you learn how to walk. Like, you're still learning about reaction, you're still learning about combat, and I'm really trying, like, I'm trying to do it teachingly and immersive and, like, learn as you go and all these things, but, like, you're not going to be able to acquire all this knowledge and be able to use it and abuse it in the way that someone that's an experienced player of 10, 20, 30 years can do, just because you don't have that time. So with newer players, I tend to be like, focus more on roleplay, focus more on learning. Let's go with that. With experienced players, as long as they're prepared for me to give it my all and for me to be like, all right, like we're playing a serious world. Yeah, like we're gonna play with some serious, more strong and serious rules. It doesn't bother me. Yeah.
Brutal consequences. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm actually one of our so before I give Bex her turn here, I've recently found out that I haven't gotten to play too much, but I've been creating a character recently, and I found that a little bit of a min-maxer there. I really love roleplay and all that good stuff too, but yeah, I like making powerful characters that are good at what they do. And so I feel a little bit bad for Anders when we go run his dungeon, Bex, because I know we're gonna tear shit up.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be fun and fun. And Jammy makes amazing characters too. So the three of us, woo, it's gonna be gross. And on that note, Bex, same question.
All right, min-maxing. Yeah, everyone should do it at all times. A character has a role to play
Yes.
in the party.
Yes.
If you're not doing your job, you're dragging everyone down. You're gonna make the story kind of suck because, like, say you play a cleric and you're no good at cleric stuff, like then the party effectively doesn't have a healer. I'll give you an example here. No, that's not fair. He made a good character. He just didn't play it at all.
Well, now I want to hear the
Yeah,
example.
now I want to hear the example too.
Okay. So, in the campaign that Dev joined, we had this cleric that was cleric of war, and he was actually built up pretty well, but he was very averse to using spell slots because they were finite. But we had like maybe 2 encounters between long rests, so everyone else was just going ham with the spell slots, like they were candy. And he would just sit in the back behind his shield because he didn't want to get hit, and like cast Healing Word. And that
Wait, he was playing War Domain, and he was
and he was in heavy armor with a shield, and nowhere near that.
What level were you guys? Sorry, I'm asking questions now. What level were you guys?
Played from 1 to like 15, and he was like that forever.
Was he experienced? Okay. I'm gonna ask too many questions.
I know
yeah.
who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good when 2 people are like, yeah.
Well, and we're obviously not here to disparage anyone. That was my first experience with another player where I really didn't enjoy my time playing with someone, and I know exactly what you mean now, where it drags the party down, because when I played with him, he was playing an artificer, and I had to tell him, like, first off, we had to explain every spell to him when he'd use it. We'd have to. It was very holding his hands through stuff, as other players and the DM.
He wouldn't at all like look at his character sheet between games, so he had no idea what he was capable of.
Not a drop. We basically guided him into finally using his Eldritch Cannon, and which is a huge feature of an artificer, and he had never used it once. I was like, "Hey, man, you've got this whole huge part of your subclass and your class that you're not using, and it could really have helped us out in that last battle. You should do that." So that was a struggle.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Min-maxing.
Yes.
Oh, my
bitch.
bad. Shit.
Yeah, I don't think Bex is done. Are you interrupting someone on your own stream?
What the-
Damn, dude.
So
I'm gonna exit
there's
quietly.
a limit to min-maxing.
Yeah.
You should be very good at your job. That's ideal. If you play a wizard, you should be a good wizard. You should also min-max yourself based on the party so that you have a clearly defined role that doesn't step on everyone's toes. You're not overshadowing anyone. If you're the best cleric, like you're an amazing cleric. You've taken all the right domains and spells and crap, and you're with like a really scrub party, you're not really going to overshadow them so much if you stick to cleric stuff. You're just going to uplift them. You're going to make them better. You'll be a force multiplier. Like, have you ever heard Treant Monk's story about how he invented the God Wizard concept?
Negative Ghost.
No, I've not heard this story.
So he joined this party, and he's a big optimization guy, and he brought this. I think it was a Goliath fighter. It was like a third ed game, and another character is playing a Goliath barbarian. But like these were a bunch of people that played for fun, and they didn't really min max. So he brought his character, and then the other guy was so excited. He was like, "We could be brothers or something as part of our backstory." And then he was like, "Cool, yeah." So they actually get in a fight, and the barbarian does like 20 damage or something, and Chris's fighter just does like 800. And he just blows it out of the park and like totally makes a little kid out of this fighter. And at the end of that session, he went to the GM and he's like, I gotta drop this character. I gotta do something because I just saw like him die a little bit. And so he's like, these people are just playing for fun. They're not min-maxing, but I am a habitual min-maxer, so I gotta do something here. He went home and he built a wizard that like only did battlefield control spells and buffs and like debuffs and stuff. And so like he was a force multiplier. He could like divide the enemy and buff the party. He could control who goes where, and he basically made them good. And at the end of the campaign, like nobody even knew he had contributed. Like he was like, I like to think I was a big part of the success, and everyone laughed at him like, you did nothing, because he didn't do any damage spells. And he is like, rather than feeling insulted, I felt really, enlightened by that. Like that's how it should be. But I don't
if you do it right, no one will
Yeah.
think you've done anything at all.
That's right. It's the God Wizard philosophy. But it's more than that. It's just knowing your party, knowing your role, and being fucking good at it. And that'll uplift everyone else.
You hear that, everyone out there? And being fucking good at it. I love it. I love it. That was really well said, and I think it's a perspective that a lot of people don't think about. Like I said, there's all this stigma on min-maxing, but like, yeah, if you want to be the best for your party, then it's important to be good at your job. Damn, bombs.
If you fuck up, the game's over. The story's done. So you want to make something that's not gonna take a shit when the going gets rough.
Hands down.
That's all I got to say.
Hands down. Well said. Well said. Well, I don't have a lot of experience as a player. I have some players. Well, Bex, for instance, is a player in my current campaign. I have a very interesting system where you basically get to cherry pick features from different classes that fit your archetype. And between her and my boy Jammy, they have made the wombo combo of all wombo combos. It is insanely brutal. And for like 2 minutes there, I had an internal conniption fit because I was like, what do I do? These guys are so strong. And then I got out of my own head for a minute. I talked to some awesome people, Chaos and a few others, and I realized that it's they did what I would want them to do in this system. They made amazing characters, and it just means that I need to be a better DM. I need to come up with more challenging ways to put the heat on them. I'm all for it. I think that maybe in a game where there's like some brand new players, they're like Chaos said, they're not going to be able to do the stuff that an experienced player is going to do. But if you're a min-maxer and you're a good role player and you care about the new players, you can build that uber powerful character and let them see the stars, man. Let them see what they get to shoot for and help them out. You're going to keep the party alive and make things a little bit easier for them while they're learning so that they get to play longer. And, unless you're just a prick about it, I think it'd probably make for an enjoyable experience. So yeah.
Because you're not doing it to stunt on your friends and you're uplifting them.
It's literally, it's attitude. It's attitude. And I think that's the reason why a lot of times min-maxers have a really bad reputation, is because at least when I've run into a couple of them, they tend to be assholes. And when I find someone that's like, no, I really like to play an optimized character, but also then like is kind and is sweet, and like I'm like, yeah, I'll take you any day at my table. Like, come on back, let's have some fun. Like you push me to be a better DM by questioning and actually like pushing the combat a lot, as well as pushing like certain mechanics. Like, why would I not want that?
Absolutely. Yo, folks in the chat, feel free to drop any questions on character creation. I'm gonna run through our Discord questions first. They get first dibs, but then we'll get to any that pop up in the chat. Anyone have anything else to say on that specific subject?
I don't think so.
All
I
right
think,
then.
I think everything was pretty much covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, well said, everyone. All right, so I'm gonna kind of follow along the same vein, ish. Another one from Barry Boy. Barry Boy was really excited about this stream. He was supposed to be a part of it, but he's hanging out with his girlfriend instead of talking about D&D with a bunch of dorks. I don't know where his
He missed
priorities
he
are.
no, he missed my session today, dude. Trust me, I'm very upset with him right now. How dare you?
Oh, for shame. I know we called off 2 weeks of our sessions so that he could have his lady time. Like,
Fucking asshole.
what a guy, huh? All right. So his next question was, what role does the backstory play? Should it have enough influence to determine mechanical things like stats, or just flavor for role playing and story? Ooh. Okay. I'm gonna just dive in really quick and say a couple things.
Deal.
I think that your backstory should 100% determine your character build. That being said, your backstory is what's going to give your character build depth. So you could build the character and then write a backstory around why they're that way, or you could write the backstory and build a character to fit that backstory. I just wanted to say that really quick, and now we'll pass it along to everyone else. Let's start with. We'll drop down. We'll go reverse. Vex.
Okay. Exact wording of the question one more time.
What role does the backstory play? Should it have enough influence to determine mechanical things like stats, or should it just be flavor for role playing and story?
Okay. All of the above. That's it.
All right, cool. Move
No. So, I think you should do here's my hot take. You should do the stats first and then come up with a backstory that suits the abomination you made. The probably strength 8, dexterity 16 character.
It's fair.
Why are you such a pansy and why are you so fast? What happened in your childhood to make you good at dodging?
To outrun the bullies a whole lot. Excellent. Anything else?
I don't think it should determine your stats. Like I said, you should do it the other way around. But like role playing, yeah, definitely keep your stats in mind. If you're not very charismatic, you shouldn't be taking the helm in negotiations all the time. You
Develop
should be
a stutter.
Mm-hmm. No, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do accents or funny voices. I mean, the Critical Role people are like professional voice actors. You don't need to measure yourselves against them. But like, just think about what your character can actually do. If they're not smart, they're not going to be able to solve a lot of puzzles, so they shouldn't be the first in line to try.
Good point. Although I would argue that an
Yeah,
idiot.
they don't.
All right, I'll leave that one. All right, excellent. Artificer.
Well, I'm gonna have to say that yes, it does. I mean, it really does. And then with the backstory in depth, I think that's the second part of this question. I might not get into that yet.
What role does the backstory play? Should it have enough influence to determine mechanical things like stats, or should it just be for flavor, role playing, and story?
I mean, that really is up to the campaign itself and the DM, and however the player wishes to play it. Because it really depends. Like if I ever have to write like a backstory for something or another thing, I just you know, I asked, I was like, I normally I ask the DM like we're in session 0. I was like, how much backstory you want? I mean, because I can write you 2 pages, or I could write you, 35,000 words. How much you want, dude? That's all. Give it to me. How much you want? But yeah, I mean, I think it should. Your backstory should define how your character is, and you don't have to. And this is the thing that everybody's like, well, I don't know how it goes. Look, everybody, if you just kind of start with your backstory, just say like maybe 2 pages. And then as your character progresses in levels, you can add more to the backstory. Because I can tell you right now, Critical Role Campaign 2, I seen most of the backstories when they started. It evolved over time. Trust me.
Point.
So,
Mhm.
All right. Chaos.
Yeah. I mean, you guys kind of took all the good points, but
Be creative.
well, that's it. I'm out. I'll see you later. No.
yep. All right. Yeah. No. I mean, like, I'll touch on like what I do when I'm designing a character. Right. First, I want to think of like who do I want to play. Like genuinely, like before anything is decided on, like genuinely, like what type of character do I want to play? Do I want to play like spellcaster or a fighter? Like, okay, let's start with that. Okay, cool. I have an idea. Okay, what do I want them to act like? Well, like I go with those little things. You do the stats to kind of like determine their personality. Like I really like role playing stats. So like if I'm not strong, okay, we're gonna role play that. Like I personally like to do that. I always like doing a voice, but like again, I don't do great voices, but it's like how I'm able to get into character. I enjoy it. I think it's really it's personal. It's like like character creation at its heart is just a personal experience, and so whatever works for you when creating character that you're happy about, that's what matters. Um, I think I like detailed backstory. I also think backstory should always be added to. Like as you're progressing in the story, your character should be reacting to that and changing because that's how life works. Like maybe your character is incredibly optimistic, but after a series of failures and combats or after like a series of really bad events, they become jaded. Like I don't know. I like reactionary things like that then change the character, and then the player starts to role play as that character differently. That's really fun. But at the end of the day, it's what you want to do. I think as long as you're putting effort into it, no one's going to care other than the fact that you're having fun.
Yeah, well said. It gives them a measure of depth, you know.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing that, like, the very intelligent Mr. Feared there. Like a lot of, I seen a lot of, for example, like a lot of character backstories that I saw change. Like a couple of the ones when I first ran like Out of the Abyss in the Underdark. A couple of the characters had very good optimistic like outlooks, and through that slug through the whole Underdark with the demon lords and that, yeah, at the end there were, yeah, definitely very jaded and no, you can like piss off. I'm only taking care of myself. I'm the only one looking out. So yeah.
Some PTSD after trudging through the Underdark fighting demons.
Yeah, well, next to the last, yeah, it wasn't the spoiler alert. Next to the last battle before they fought the Demogorgon, the Demon Prince, the Paladin actually shifted his oath to an Oathbreaker.
Oh, yeah, that's brutal.
And it made perfect sense the way his character was progressing, because throughout the adventure, like when we were testing it and that, he had lost 4 of his friends. 4 of the other characters had died.
Oof.
So it made him, jaded, and it made perfect sense for him to.
Did he resurrect his dead friends and have them as?
He did.
Oh, I love it. Sorry.
But yeah, he did. So yeah, it made perfect sense in the story. But that's just like one of those how that character story changed and progressed later on. None of that was set in stone, and the events that happened throughout the campaign, that influenced his backstory.
That's amazing, and I love it. What's up, Inked Guy 2? I think I said that right. Inked 3D Guy 2. Yeah. I can speak word. Welcome to the chat. That sounds amazing, and yeah, that's one thing I can't wait. Like, I'm just starting my D&D here, and you guys who have been doing this for decades have some amazing fucking stories. And it's like you write legends. Like it's so freaking cool. Can't wait. Always more D&D to play. So I think it's intrinsically connected. Personally, like I said in the very beginning of this, I think it should be, they're two sides of the coin, right? Like you gotta have them. Personal opinion. If you, and I think everyone kind of already said all the good points, but yeah, that's just kind of where I stand. Is like your backstory. I kind of disagree. I think you should do your backstory first and base your stats off that. But that's just my personal opinion. You could do whatever the hell you want. And in fact, I contradict myself because on my last character, I built the character and then I started making a backstory. So I'm gonna shut up and we're gonna move on.
Thank you. That's all I've been waiting for, really.
That's what the people came for.
I want to go back a step and add to my answer.
Actually,
So-
same here. After Bex is done, I have things I want to say too.
So like, don't make your the problem with making the backstory first is you run the issue of like making it too grandiose. Like I'm a veteran of the 100 Years' War, and I was awarded the King's Cross for valor, and then like you're like a level 1 big fucker.
Yeah, but that's a whole other topic because that's about like writing an appropriate backstory. Like I think you could separate those, right? Like because
Can you?
Yeah,
I mean, I think it depends on the person. Again, like personally, I like to write a backstory before I allocate stats and even decide class stuff because that's just who I like to do. But at the same time, a lot of time, I make really, for lack of a better term, strange characters, and so they tend not to be powerful and conventional means. So I mean, it's personal preference. I think your criticism and caution of writing backstory first is totally fair and valid, and I think a lot of people can fall into that trap. I know I've even seen a couple of my new players recently fall into a trap when they're writing their backstory. I'm like, I have to like tone them down. They're like, oh yeah, like I'm best friends with like two of these kings, and I'm like, no, like no, that just no, like you just you're level 1. You don't know shit. You can be like a friend with a servant of a king. Like I'll let you have that, but like no, sorry, like doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and see this trails into let's jump on this next topic, like backstory. Mitigate, right? Make an appropriate backstory. I personally think the best backstories are made when you sit down with your DM and you hash out the backstory together and you guys go back and forth so that it can fit into their world and you can still have things that you desire, right? So, depending on the campaign, hey, maybe they do have a connection with the king. Maybe they are best friends with the king. Why? How is that going to play in? Maybe that king gets assassinated. Like, you can always twist it creatively, but you need to sit down and really, really mesh it with your DM into the world and find out what's going to be appropriate for the story. Is this a hero's tale where you guys are starting out as heroes who are like kind of known and are going to go do great things? Or are you a pig fucker? Like Reclaimer said, are you just someone who fucking mucks the stalls? Chances are you don't know the king, and that's the kind of story we're telling. So work with me, the DM, and let's make a reasonable backstory for why you're gonna go and for who. I really like character concept before creation. I'll be like, all right, I want to play. Like for instance, this last one, I want to be a wizard who fights with swords. So I went Blade Singer, and then I sat down with Firestone, who's been on this channel many times, and we stayed up till like 1 a.m. just going back and forth. How can this character be in your world? I kind of want him to be this, this, and this. Where does that fit into your world? Okay, well, what if I can do this? No, you can't do that. Calm down. Okay, that's all right. How about this? And that back and forth it's really exciting. It's really fun, in my opinion, on both sides, because I did that with Bex and my other players as well. And I think that's one of the best ways. What about you guys? Throwing it out there. Whoever wants to talk.
Your method of creation is extremely unique and would be difficult for many people to.
wait, you're saying like a 10 session prologue about like your childhood would be difficult to like repeat for other people?
Okay,
What?
it was only like 3 sessions about their
Oh,
childhood.
okay. I'm sorry. Only 3 sessions. My
He
bad.
kept
My
it under
mistake.
5. It was an accomplishment. Okay. Just-
Thank you, Artificer.
Remember
I don't know if
what
you should
you
have backed me up, but thank you. That's fair, honestly, Vex.
Do you remember how you and me did it when I was gonna run that campaign, then I didn't run that campaign?
And I really wish you had, and I'm using that character's name in the other one. But yeah, that was a really, really great way. That's probably the best way people should do it. For Eltigrad, a whole other beast. It's
Right.
yeah. Don't listen to Sip. No.
Yeah, that's true. He has no advice. Ignore him. That's what we're here for.
That's why I bring on other people who are smarter than me. Yeah,
Oh.
we just went back and forth, and you ingratiated me into that world as I created a character.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, you had bonds, you had characters that you knew, and you defined your relationship with them as we went along. You had your mom, you had the goblins that were taking care of the senior citizens in the city.
I really want to play that.
I want to run it, but like, I just like
When you're ready.
had some personal issues and ran out of energy.
Life does that. When you're ready, let's do that because it sounded like a lot of fun. And like I said, I haven't played a lot of characters, and a arcane trickster sounds like. All right, excellent. So let's move on to the next question.
Okay.
Unless anyone's got
All
anything
right.
else to say.
Well, the only thing I would add to that is kind of like when you're creating your backstory, the more detailed and specific and certain timelines and functions in your backstory, your DM has to work that somewhere into the narrative. So if you define a 200-page novel of your backstory, and then sometimes, the DM is not putting a whole lot of your elements into the roleplay session, probably because you kind of pigeonholed his world or his or her world into this is the only thing I'm allowed to run, okay? I have seen that far too many times. So, like I said, I usually say just give me like a 2-page backstory. You want to do a little bit more than that, that's fine. But I do tell everybody, like, once you do, though, like I said, if you get too detailed, I don't know how it's going to work into my world. Okay? Unless we are starting, like, from the ground up from the world. Okay?
2 pages is way too much.
Really?
I could argue
I-
that, but I think
I
keep
ha-
it.
I have a so I think I've talked to Sev about this, but I had an old campaign where I basically played with like some older people, and one of these gentlemen or persons that was playing he was a music teacher and like played in a band, and he played a bard. So whenever we had D&D, he would bring his guitar, he had a cello, and he had a violin, and he would play whenever he was doing anything. Like he would play songs to it, and it genuinely was like one of the most immersive experiences. And now I feel like I can never compete with him as a bard. Like I just don't think I'm ever going to stand at that level of bardness. But the whole point I'm bringing it up is that he when we were making characters for them for the whole party, it was like 4 people, so average size party. He wrote me a 10-page backstory. And like stayed up all night writing it and just handed it to me the next day, like right before the session. He's like, "Yeah, this is good, right?" And I was just like, "Okay, let's pause." And I had to explain, because he was a new player, so I had to explain to him, "Okay, like I love the depth that you're providing here. I can't in good conscience okay this without reading this through and then like okaying certain parts and not." So I love detailed backstory. I crave detailed backstory, especially when I'm developing a world and I can like work with the players weeks leading up until the first session. That's what if I have an ability to do that, and players have free time and I have free time, if I can have like a couple like hour and a half long conversations with them about backstory as I'm developing the world, that's perfect for me. That doesn't normally work though. So I normally say write as much as you want, but give me adequate time to read it and give me veto power. As long as you're comfortable with me axing things off and saying, no, that doesn't work, write as much as you want and I'll read it. But I think I totally understand the 2-page limit or not, like even that's a little too much. I also just like reading stuff. So I think that's just me.
That's I mean that's fair. I'd say definitely like give me enough to work you into the world. I mean with Eltagrad, which again is an oddball one, I just had them tell me what they had as a character concept, like their name, their personality trait, their quirk, and who their parents were. And like I mean then I created everything else for them. They gave me very little, and we went from there. So it kind of depends, but yeah, more detail means I can weave more into my story, but it can be a bit much sometimes.
Yep.
It's a creative outlet for people, right? And so I mean, write as much as you want, and I think I like your thing. Write as much as you want. I might not read it all, but I'll do my best, and I get as a DM, what makes it so much fun for me is when players are really engaged and interested and whatnot. So I haven't had that experience yet, but hey, looking forward to it. All right. Let's move on, guys. Our man Bam, Mr. Bam, he's the DM for Art Hard Studios, runs Weed D&D, Pot Positive live D&D show. Fucking fantastic people. They run an excellent show. I'm a huge fan of the work they're doing. Can't speak more highly of them. Go follow them, Art Hard Studios, as soon as you can. They put out great content. He dropped a question in our Discord as well. When building a character, do you consider how that character will die? If so, do you find that helps with role playing the choices of that character? All right, so part of me wants to say something, and another part of me wants to say something else. So I'm gonna pass the ball off and see what you guys say first. Let's go to chaos. Let's go chaos first.
Yeah. I don't know if I think of like how the character like wishes they would die or how the character wants to die because
Think about that.
yeah, no, okay, exactly. Like I don't think about like how do exactly I want to die because arguably I don't want to die. So like, and I think that's mortality, right? So I guess in my head, how I would view that question is how does your character view death? Like, what is the concept of death to your character? And that's something I'd be more comfortable answering than how does your character want to die? That's just because like my character doesn't. None of my characters, unless my character is very suicidal, which then again, I don't know if I'd want to play a character like that, but like, yeah, they don't want to die. So, how they view death is I think the better question. And depending on the character, depending on their outlook, like, is death just part of life? Is death the end? Is death, cyclical? Is it the beginning of something? Like, that just goes back into backstory, I think.
All right, interesting. All right, let's roll it on. Unless you got anything else to say there.
No, I'm good. Like, anyone else, chime in.
Yeah, jump on it, guys. Artificer, what about you?
It really.
Hey, thanks, guys, for following.
Maybe character-wise, I don't know. I don't get to play a whole lot.
Fair.
I don't really plan for my character to die. Now, that's not necessarily how I start out with that character, but to kind of go along with that, yeah, I do somehow kind of plan how that character's going to die, especially if it's like you're in a dungeon or something, and you have like the mini boss, where it's a good possibility you might die. And that's just going along with how your character probably changed their outlooks and that, along with that character backstory, as we were talking before, where like, as the group becomes more cohesive together, maybe your character would actually die for another one of the other player characters. So could see where you could kind of see that where, yeah, looking to die that way, kind of like take a bullet for one of your party members. I could kind of see that, but I don't like plan out that way unless I am. Now that's not necessarily true with NPCs, because if you have like a necromancer that's trying to become a lich, yeah, he wants to die.
That's true.
So
It circles back to character backstory and character personality, right?
correct. And then, like I said, it can adjust as it goes along.
Very fair. Anything else?
No. Pretty straightforward, I would think.
Vex.
Yeah, I think I would say that I do. It's an important consideration, not necessarily how you die, but like how you face death. And this can evolve as you play the character more. But are you going to be brave? Are you going to be stoic? Are you going to be desperate? Would you be scared? And the assumptions that you're going to die in combat, and that's not rare at all. But there are other ways you could die, like sacrificing yourself to destroy some MacGuffin so that the rest of the party can escape, or like doing a last stand kind of thing, like none shall pass, and then everyone else gets away. So it's not how you die; it's just how you face it.
That's pretty excellent. I don't think I have a whole lot to add there. I think it really falls into your character and who they are. Like if you make the holier hero paladin who's going to sacrifice anything for his friends, then you're considering like, okay, I'm going to put myself in dangerous positions and be very likely to die because that's who my character is.
Yeah, like Sovereign would just refuse to believe that she could possibly die, and that would be her dying, like just not believing it. Like this is not happening.
Yeah. I wish I'd gotten to play with Sovereign. She sounded like a gas.
She was hardcore.
Yeah. Would have been fun for Sev to meet that one too. I just hung out with her girlfriend the whole time. So wife. Oh, that's right. You guys got married. You married yourself.
I did.
I remember when I first found that out. My question was just like,
what does D&D mean to you?
Yeah,
I remember that so clearly.
So Vex, what's D&D? What's that mean for you? Yeah, what's this do for you? That's one of my
The story was that they were like estranged and not close anymore, and I swapped them out midstream because I wanted to play a paladin more than a rogue.
That almost makes me sad. You like detached yourself from yourself. D&D is a deep social experiment and psychological experiment, and don't think that it's not.
I know so much more about people that I play D&D than people that I don't play D&D with. Like,
don't you wish you didn't?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I learn things about my friends that I really didn't want to learn, and then I'm just like, oh, you're not as good of a person as I thought you were. Oh, and it's just like, you just gotta go with it because you can't do anything else.
I just had moments like that a few months ago where I was just like, huh, that's the decision you're gonna make? Okay. Is that your character, or is that you, or a combination, or I'm gonna just try not to think about it too much.
I small tangent here, but I feel like there's always a part of a player within a character.
Oh,
like there's always that, right? Like I don't think there's any
of that players in that character.
Exactly. So
I think you can tell if they're more disconnected or trying to distance themselves from the character depending on how they speak. Like if they're like, my character says this or my character does this, I find that in my teeny tiny bit of experience, that seems like the player distancing themselves from the character because it's not something the player themselves would do, but the character that they created would do that. It's very subtle, but it comes out in the speech.
Sorry for the tangent, by the way. Please continue.
I mean, I jumped on that train right away. Don't worry about it. Anything else? Anything else, ladies and gentlemen? No.
Nope.
Not on this.
I don't-
Chirp,
I don't.
chirp,
I
chirp.
don't think so. Crickets, buddy. Crickets.
Yeah, silence.
Hold
give us the next question.
Hold on. Castle Rake. You don't like it when a player distances themselves for the character? I'm gonna jump on to the next question, but I want you to elaborate and give me some meat to them potatoes. All right, let's see. The next question is from our boy Billy Mays is here.
Jesus.
Oh, that fucking guy.
Who apparently has a girlfriend now, and I
Oh.
still didn't get what was going on with that. And
She joined our server as Billy Mays' girlfriend, which is fucking hysterical. And I wonder if she's made up. I'm just kidding. No,
She's
she-
from Canada. You wouldn't know her.
She
She is.
yeah, she's from Canada. You wouldn't know her. She posted a selfie in our Thirst Trap Tavern.
Well, I
And-
can post a selfie too.
She's definitely out of his league if that's his girl. Good job, Billy Mays. Good man.
anyway,
Moving
anyway.
on, Billy Mays is one of my favorite people. He was actually one of the very first people to join our Discord and come hang out with us in the community game. Billy Mays, thanks for throwing a question down for us. He's relatively new to D&D, and he wants to know, is there such a thing as too much when creating your character?
yes.
I asked him to elaborate on that, whether he means personality or backstory, and he said all of the above. And let's just start there.
Two pages of backstory.
Pages of backstory.
A singular word after the 2 pages is just too much. Like it's useless at that point.
I do like 3 or 4 paragraphs and no one ever reads them. So that's my backstory length.
That's not your fault. That's your DM's fault.
Yeah, that sounds like Sav, what are you doing? Come on, dude.
Well, I talk to the DM. I tell them who my character is. I clearly communicate it verbally. There's no need to read the sheet.
Communicate it verbally is putting it lightly. I think we probably put about 9 hours in together. Correct.
I don't-
But like with Andy too.
From what I'm hearing, that's not enough for your player, and you need to step up and be a better DM. Like, I think that's
This is not a crack at Seth. Seth and I talked about even like Talisker, the one-shot villain character, like for days.
I have found that conversations with him tend to be very tangential and tend to last a lot longer than you intend. Yeah.
Hey, that's just another way of saying I'm a hoot. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you. The fact that we've talked, I think, for like 5 days straight now, for like at least an hour each day.
I'm not in love with you. Don't be awkward.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
What the fuck did I walk in on here? What the?
Walk in on
You-
you've been here the whole
you've-
time.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've missed a lot.
You've been
over this
watching. You've been watching from the closet in your Superman shirt the whole time.
Yeah.
Really quick tangent. Castle Rake got back to me. Does not like it when a player refers to himself in third person because the whole idea is to be that character and bring that character to life. And I would have to agree 100%.
I mean,
Get in it, folks. If you have
Yeah.
to, I can't judge. What you're gonna do. I'm not a huge fan either because like become that character, right?
see that's actually why I like voices. Because I like the differentiation between my character's thoughts, my character's actions with like a little bit of an accent or a voice or whatever, and then me trying to have a conversation and ask a question to the DM or ask a question to the player and be like, hey, like, I don't know, can you pass the water or something you need to do? Like, so for me, there's that little difference, and I appreciate that. Whenever someone says my character does this, I don't know why, that just feels uncomfortable to me. But like, if that's how you communicate and that's how you role play, and you're doing that a lot, like, if it works for you, sure.
Here's the challenge: ask for the water as your character.
I am scared to see what would happen, but yes.
Ooh, is there a tsunami spell? Got to be a tidal wave.
It's-
Something.
Yeah, there's tidal
Oh,
waves.
yeah.
This is literally tsunami.
Oh yeah.
All right. So is there too much when creating a character? We went over that. We answered your question before we asked your question, Billy Mays. Yeah, there's such a thing as too much. Personality wise, too much. I would say this leads into Sir Swingy's first question, um, in our chat about a toxic character.
Yeah,
There is such a thing. If you develop a personality that is a dick for no reason, and the other players are not comfortable with it, or if they're greedy, or if there's a lot of things that, just like you don't want to hang out with an asshole in real life, 9 times out of 10, when you're playing a character, your character probably doesn't want to hang out with an asshole.
and the other players don't want to hang out with an asshole at the table. You got to make there's a comfort level thing. I've played a lot of asshole characters, so just characters that are unlikable pieces of shit. But the players outside of the game are into it. It's all like a consent thing. You got to make sure everyone else is comfortable with what you're going for.
Session
Okay.
0.
I think that's actually a super important point to touch on with character creation is consent. Like I think a lot of times players will talk to the DMs about the characters they're creating, but they won't necessarily always talk to the other players.
Which they
and
should.
I think that which they should. I get the certain like I want my character to be a surprise, but at the same time it's like no, like introduce your character so that you're making sure the party meshes, and like the DM's not going to know all of the taboo subject matter or the things that like people's backstory should avoid. Like if you specifically have an issue with something and someone's backstory is laden with whatever that subject matter is, that can be really problematic. And it should be like players should communicate. A DM should try to facilitate that, but like the players should really communicate those ideas to each other. I think sorry, that was a quick point. I think I just thought Bex brought up something really important and smart, and I wanted to highlight that. So
Thank you.
And I agree on one hand. I also I think at times it depends, and I think the players need to talk about it beforehand. Like we're all gonna come in with surprise characters that don't know each other and see what happens. That can be kind of fun too.
With
I
people
think-
that you're comfortable with.
With people that you're-
my caveat there was at the beginning, with people that you're comfortable with.
people that you're comfortable with, and also like making sure that you like they would be comfortable with like ideas that you're doing, because like the comfort's really important, because you don't like the point of D&D at the end of the day
Have fun.
is fun. And so if someone's genuinely uncomfortable with your character,
You're playing someone who was X, Y, or Z that they
Doesn't
don't
even-
that they don't
yeah,
enjoy.
like it's not. Yep.
Well, and I think that kind of character creation is probably better for like 1 to 5 shots rather than like a long-term campaign. And I, speaking from experience, man, was it rough as like a newer DM when I had one character who was a monk of mercy and would just like if someone's suffering, he tries to heal him, and if he can't heal him, he puts them out of their misery. A super chaotic pirate who just kind of blew off whatever was going on and did his own thing, and then a pacifist paladin Goliath. Like it was a lot to manage, and honestly the story ended up suffering a lot because there was just so much party contention.
Yep.
And the players tried to like work with each other, but they also stayed really true to their characters, and it just caused a lot of very slow moving, clunky encounters constantly because each party member was bickering with each other to the point of like, why the fuck are you guys traveling together?
Yep.
Artificer, you want to chime in here, baby?
It all goes over session 0.
Yep.
That's the whole reason you have a session 0.
Yeah.
One of the things that needs to cover. We did that. We covered this over our "what do you go over on session 0" thing.
We did.
But yeah, that needs to be, because now, however, I have had something like mid-campaign happen to a PC where their attitude did change that way, but that was because of an in-game effect and not for them just turning and being an asshole.
Fair.
So, and everybody in the party was like, "What the hell is wrong with this?"
No.
And and when that aspect happened in the game, I did stop and say, "Hey, something has happened. She's gonna play her character this way from now on. until maybe something happens. If that's not cool with everybody, I can just throw this aspect out of the campaign, and I can just redo it. And they're like, no, it's okay. And I said, well, if anybody's got any concerns, bring it up. We could stop, move on, and go. So,
Yeah. Good point.
yeah, if
sorry,
if
go
it's
ahead.
an in-game thing, yes. If you come to the table just being a dick,
The
I
whole
guarantee
Yep.
you're not going to be at my table.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Castle Rake, I just wanted to touch on this. Like to interact with my viewers and whatnot. They're saying that they didn't necessarily agree with the fact that you guys should do it beforehand and kind of talk to the players as well. I asked like what exactly I don't agree with. If that's the way the game is going to start, then cool. Or have all the players make characters that like we're in an orphanage together. I kind of see what you're going for, Castle Rick, but there's a lot of ways you can have players' goals align and get them
Yeah.
to party together. When I say don't mesh well, I'm talking about like core values and goals. You can have players that are edge lords or jerks, or maybe if they're a skilled player, an experienced player, even someone who's evil, as long as they have consistent goals that align with the rest of the party, and they're going to be able to smoothly, and as a team, because D&D is really built to be a team game, and as a team move forward towards those goals, then I don't think you have a problem, and a lot of the other stuff can just kind of be worked out with interesting role play. I think the issue that we were kind of pointing on, and correct me if I'm wrong, my friends here in chat, is that when there are those real deep disagreements, those contentions that are going to cause every encounter to be a fight between the party, that's when it's an issue. Or if there's just one dude who's trying to fuck everyone over. That's an issue. People don't like that. That detracts from fun. And at the end of the day, a DM's job is to proliferate fun.
Yeah. I think
No worries, Castle Rick. That's what we're here for. We're here to chat.
Oh God, I figured out who it is.
Oh, who is?
That's my boy Blue.
That's your boy Blue.
like Blue's Clues, or what are we going with?
No. Yeah, he's probably exactly.
Old school. Old school's a great
Uh,
movie. That's before your time, Chaos.
I've seen.
Oh, Jesus.
I
think
you were like
Wow.
All right,
Wow,
all right.
Mike,
It's fine.
yeah.
No, this is fine. This is fine. It's okay.
You're
I
like 5, 6, maybe.
Sick bird, baby, sick bird.
anyway. I was going to say, yeah, I think you can create motivations for a party that may not get along necessarily, but like they have aligned goals and like they get along because of that. Like I'm running a campaign right now where I have a couple of really self-interested characters and I have a couple of like really hero type characters. And like it works out because I'm like, okay, like you guys are here's your goal. There's self-interest in the fact that you're going to get a reward. Like, there's fame, there's glory, but also like you're saving people. And so they're grouping up together because they've been banded together through pain, suffering, typical archetypes. And then but then they're getting consistent motivation for things due to the fact that they're given hints of rewards or they're given praise by NPCs, or like, so you just have to you can make a lot of parties work as long as like they don't completely disagree at their core. So like if you have a pacifist player and then a player that wants to murder everyone, that's going to be really hard to balance.
They couldn't help.
No. You had your example. I'm talking about my example.
Gotcha.
But no, like if you have characters whose core ideologies differ and will consistently disagree, it bogs down the campaign. It bogs down every encounter. There's consistent disagreement, and sometimes it can get personal. So you want to avoid things like that. I think, at least, unless the players are like, no, like we want this contention, we want to go at odds with each other, and then it's like, okay, as long as everyone at the table's okay with that, sure.
And it's funny that you say that, because that's exactly what was happening at my table for like a solid 6 months. Is everyone was okay with it. It just kind of they were enjoying the role play. It just kind of made every encounter really chunky and slow.
Yeah,
but lots of really heated and intense role play, and everyone there was an adult, so that was really nice. But well said. Very well said. Anyone else on that? I've got the second part of Billy Mays' question.
Yeah, let's get Billy's over with. Jesus.
Yeah, let's hurry it up.
Gall, Billy. So his second part was also, what is the best way to switch up your character choices? I mean everything from race to skills set, etc. If there's only one way you can change your race in my games.
Die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think what Billy's talking about is that he probably plays like a certain type.
Yeah.
Only had
And
like 2
doesn't cha-
characters.
That's what I'm saying. He plays a certain type, and he's probably like pigeonholing himself into that. We need to get Billy in on a randomized game, like a
Ooh,
yeah.
yeah. I still want to finish that one-shot Artificer, by the way.
All right.
Gotta
we can
do that sometime.
Yeah, dude, you missed my Murder Mystery House one. It was really fun.
It was good. He's been busy.
Yeah.
He's been busy with Dungeon Coach's Kickstarter. By the way, if you're not, jump on Dungeon Coach's Kickstarter. All Cander's Almanac of all things. It's amazing. I love the Dungeon Coach. He's fantastic. Go follow him on YouTube. Go support the Kickstarter. It's a lot of goodness.
I'm running over 100K Kickstarter. I'm busy.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is you're old and you're running out of energy. It's okay. That's
Yeah.
what young people are for.
Yeah. Well, young
Says the
people
man-
can't accomplish shit. I'll
Says-
tell you that right
Says
now.
the man who likes to go to bed before 10 versus the
Hey,
old man who doesn't go to bed till 5 a.m.
Does he
Hey.
even go to bed?
He doesn't technically. He just goes into a trance.
Yeah, well, yeah, technically with the Eldritch invocations, I don't need to sleep. I'm like a Warforged. I just have like a stasis that I just sit in, you know.
That's freaking great. So okay, so how do you think he could change those things? My first thought that hits me in the head is talk to your DM. Work it
Yeah.
out with them. Express what you are not liking and what you are liking and what you want to change and how you can change it. Or talk to an experienced player. And it's never wrong to ask for help. It's never wrong
Artificer,
to learn.
Artificer added into Tasha's a rule where you can retrain certain class abilities and features.
Yeah. There's a great way to do it that's mechanical and official. That's fantastic. And
Yeah, thanks, Artificer.
yeah, appreciate you,
You
Artificer.
know, customize shit.
Let's
Yeah.
name drop that really quick.
He did that.
He did that.
Well, it wasn't just me alone.
I'm always willing to like work with character evolution, you know, but we need to have story in my games personally. Again, got to caveat that personal opinion. We need to have story reasons for why it's happening. So come talk to me, the DM, and let's work it out together in the story. If you're going to change your skills, if you're going to change your class, is a big one to change. If you're going to change your subclass, a little bit easier. Those types of things. If you feel like you kind of screwed yourself, maybe your DM will work with you. Talk to them first. If they won't, maybe design a big extravagant death for your character and create a new one. There's a lot of ways around it. Get creative. That's my 2 bits on it. Take it away, gents, ladies.
I think. I mean, I kind of assumed what he was asking with the question was that like how do I try out new things, right? Number one thing, play one shots. One shots are great. You don't have to commit to a campaign, so you can play something, and if it dies at the end of the session, oh well. Like okay, cool. You learned some stuff. That's great. I do this thing.
Sad.
Yeah, exactly. I do this thing where like if I'm gonna play a character and like I actually have customization over it, I full on just am like, okay, what race do I never play? Okay, got it. What class do I never play? Okay, got it. Like what is a weird path that I've never explored before? I genuinely, because I still need like there's still things I haven't done before. I just go down the list of like, what haven't I done? What am I really comfortable with? What do I really like? Okay, let's play the opposite of that. Let's play something like, even if I'm uncomfortable with it, let's find the things I can love about it. Because even though, and like for instance, like I despise rogues, not for any like logical reason. I just don't like playing rogues. But I've played an Arcane Trickster before, and they're fun. Like they're so fun. Like so, you try out the things and experiment. That's what you need to do.
Just hit the random dude.
Also that.
Honestly, that's been so I find myself really weak as a player personally. DM I'm super comfy with, but as a player I struggle a bit. And it's been really cool doing these one shots with randomized character from the D&D Beyond thing, because it is just, I would never do this. How do I do this? And then it gets the gears a turning.
Yeah,
Gets the wheels
it's pretty
a
good.
spinning.
And then especially if you slide the little multi-class switch, that'll fuck everything all up.
I've done that both times. So yeah. Woo! Fun time. But yeah.
I think
that was well said.
Yeah, I think doing the randomizer can be good. I think if you're like a brand new player, give yourself some agency of choice, because I think if you do the randomizer, you might like have a lot of like, I don't know, you might go into a more complicated class with a more complicated subclass, and you might feel a little overwhelmed because you're new. I don't know.
Yeah,
But like if you've played a decent amount, go full reign of chaos. Like just pick, like just randomize everything, name everything, and just figure out how to roleplay that. Don't give yourself a backstory. Like go based on like your if you're an acolyte or if you're a folk hero or if you're not, just base your character off of the name, race, stats, everything, and just see where that goes. You will create so many great things that you never thought were possible purely because you're just spewing it all out of your ass.
It's a terrible place to spew it from, but yeah.
Yeah, Taco Bell? What? No. Anyway, honestly, I see a lot of this with new players and new character creation. And I think Billy might have the same. It might be locking up like a lot of new players because there's so much. There's so many different variables, classes, subclasses, races, traits, feats, all that. I mean, it's a lot overwhelming at one time. And then you can kind of lock yourself into like, hey, I'll play a half elf because that's what everybody else is playing or something. My other suggestion is ask the DM if maybe they're thought of like an NPC you may want to start out with, or like a pre-generated character, and then you can kind of roll it into your own.
Sounds fun.
I mean, because like, yeah, I mean, it's just like best way to describe it is like an overload. Like, and if it's just like, okay, here's a pre-generated, just kind of like work out the little, you're going to be a wizard, you're going to be a sorcerer, you're going to be a fighter, you know what I mean? Here, start with this. Okay, can I be a, can I be a dragonborn? Sure, just change the rate, yeah. So that can go pretty easy for them from the beginning.
Well said. Let me drop the. Hey, I see. Let's catch up with chat real quick because I see it's popping off a little bit. Viper, I just dropped our Discord link. Our boy Chaos right here, this guy over here, he runs our community sessions, or he organizes it. And what we do is we rotate DMs and we rotate players. We've got like a sign up sheet that we drop in the beginning of the week, and it's a really, really good time. We've got some great players, some great DMs, and you can get to play once a week with us. So jump on that.
That is true. I will be DMing this weekend, and
I got the following one.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited to play. I'm excited to play this Saturday. And then, Chaos, you and I were just talking about potentially. Well, I mean, I brought it up to you, potentially co-DMing.
Yes, we did talk about that. Yes,
Castle Rake here said one game I ran had a DM and a co-DM. And I asked how that went. They said, keep it simple, stupid. So that's our advice. So it's always so simple, right? Let me see. What else? We had a couple questions. What is the best way to min-max a character? Bex?
Bex.
Bex?
I mean, like, figure out your role and then just like
it's true.
go build towards that. like for Andy's game, we're doing some kind of death trap dungeon. So I made Inquisitive Rogue, and I piled on the observant feat, and I got expertises for search and perception and investigation. So like I've got plus 1,000,000 to those now, and it's stupid. So I'm gonna see every trap.
Not necessarily.
No, yeah, I kind of am though.
No, not
I
necessarily.
love the confidence though.
I love that. It's like I'll see every trap. Not
It's
necessarily.
inspiration for confidence there. Luck- or
It's not Tomb of Annihilation where like they just don't tell you where the traps are. You just die.
I mean, depending on what Andres does, we'll see what happens.
I'm pretty confident.
What other chat questions we get?
Well, actually, I have thoughts too for
Oh,
your
do you?
information.
Oh, I didn't
I
know
do,
that
I
you
do.
were a thinking person. My bad.
Sometimes,
Wow.
really rarely. I think what Bex is touching on really well is like the role idea, and that requires you, I think, to have at least a base enough of knowledge to recognize what role does your character need to be playing. Because while you may be playing a fighter or a wizard or I don't know, a sorcerer or a ranger or whatever you're doing, due to subclasses and due to the fact that a lot of classes can do multiple different things, you need to notice what role you need to be fulfilling. Like, do you need to be taking all the damage and attacking all the enemies? Do you need to be a, I don't know, like a supportive wizard that, we were talking about the godly or the god wizard earlier that Bex mentioned that casts debuffs and funnels enemies. Like, what does your character role work best with the party you have? And like, you have to be able to analyze that. And that, like, I think that just requires critical experience and trial and error sometimes.
Yeah, or be a
Couldn't
DM in
agree
a
more.
campaign with a bunch of min-maxers and learn from them.
Also, that tends to be the more painful way to do it. But yes.
I mean, if you want to run a game with, just set me in it for like 5 minutes. I'll break it. Don't worry about it.
See, that at the same time I want to play with you now and like DM for you, but also I just don't want to now. Like, that just like
Look, it's my
I
job.
worked so hard.
Okay.
Like I know how this rule works because I wrote it.
Yeah, so it's like, so this is how the ruling's supposed to be. It's your game, man. However you want to rule it. Dang it. I mean, so that's how you get like a, that's how you get like a, 17th level blade singing wizard that has 2 attacks and can fire 4 Eldritch blasts in 1 attack round. Just saying.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Level
Yeah.
17 though. I mean, who cares?
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true. So small tangential question. How
All
like
right, so it don't have to be 17. Go for something lower, 12. So
Oh
that's
my
1 less
God.
attack.
I could
Just
dig it.
saying.
I could dig it. All right, so back on track.
Like I said,
we got.
I'm made to break things.
Well, that's literally you get paid to break the game.
Well,
that's true.
Yeah.
You know.
This is how you break it. This is how we kind of fix it.
Yeah. So I broke this. Here's how you glue it back together. All right. What's our next question here? I know that I missed a few in the chat. What about you, DMs? DMs and player. What about you guys? What, you got 2 cents to throw in on character creation? You got a question about character creation you'd like to see discussed here?
What's a character that you don't allow to be created? If there is one, what's a character that you don't allow to be created?
Are you talking like
Like whatever comes to your head first.
Initially I just thought of like horrible things that I just would taboo at my table session 0, like
Okay.
stuff you would get convicted life
Yeah,
in prison
Yeah.
for.
Yes.
right?
Not talking about those things. Sorry.
Okay.
Baseline understanding that we're not talking about horrific things that can I'm talking about like a character personality or a character type that maybe you as a DM have really personal bad experience with or really just don't think it's balanced or whatever it is. is there anything you just full on are just like, yeah, I have an issue with this, so like please make something else?
Nothing
Not
really
really.
that I can think of. As long as all the
Not
players
really.
are having fun
That's what I'm
and it's
saying.
not
That-
causing
that-
an issue, then
Once
can't-
again, that all comes back to a
Session
session zero.
go see our
Yeah.
previous series. It's all on my YouTube. We went through. I think we had like 3 session 0 discussions where we went over.
God, we could still
everything.
have like another 12.
We
'cause we-
really could.
You barely scratched my list.
Oh yeah.
No, your list
Okay,
is.
I
impressive.
want to see that list at some point.
I
I
have
do. What I talk to you every goddamn day, and you haven't shown me this list yet. Come on.
You haven't asked. You haven't asked.
Well, I'm asking now.
God, that's.
Hold on, Viper. You'll never allow an orc fighter because they're OP. I say then, sir, do you control the world? Because you can battle back against that.
Oh yeah.
That's
that
one
is
thing we've talked about a lot here. Is like, how do you handle
Yeah.
an OP character? When someone makes a min-maxed OP character, what do? You get
I
more
just
creative as a dungeon master.
when when you have a player like Bex. How do you combat that? Like that's genuinely what you have to think of.
You can bag
Legitimately,
all the combos you want. I'm gonna find a way to break the character.
legitimately,
I have fun with that. Like that's what's fun to me.
Bex has made me grow so much as a DM because of the stupid powerful characters that she makes. And so I've had to say, okay, cool. I need to get like way deeper on my encounter creating. Chaos gave me some great advice. Diego gave me some great advice. I need to create things that are going to challenge their weak points. I need to create things that are going to be difficult for them to handle all at once. I need to, like, okay, so for instance, again, I allow this crazy stacking character building. Bex's character can rage and then deflect up to 2d8 plus their strength modifier worth of damage per turn.
Mhm.
I was frustrated. As I'm gonna be 100% honest. As a DM, I got frustrated because I was like, "Fuck, what the fuck do I do?" And then I looked at myself and I went, "Wow, you're being a twat. This person created a really good character, and you're getting mad. You should be thrilled because they just challenged you to get way better." So what am I gonna do? I'm going to create strange and nasty effects that my creatures can cause, like those goddamn crocodile bears that spit acid at you.
Oh my God. Nightmares.
Yeah, I'm going to create environmental challenges that are not going to be easy to get around while things are pelting you from long distance. There's a lot of things you can do. I would never not allow a character to be made at my table unless it was causing the other players to not have fun. Caveat: if it was just something that made it harder for me, I'm gonna just get. Yeah, I'm gonna.
I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. I think the rest of the party likes hiding behind Verdandi.
They 100, especially Judo. Especially Judo. He is so happy to have you. He's like, cool, Verdandi, you go do that. I'm gonna run around and chuck knives.
Well, I think what it is as long as like you as a DM and then like you as a player are willing to have that dialogue where it's like, okay, you've bested me this session. Like, yeah, okay, wasn't expecting you to play it this well. Like, I need to return. And as long as you're like the DM is making the encounter so where no one player feels targeted, and like like for me, it's like as long as I can explain with ration logic rationale. Thank you. Don't
worry about it.
as long as I can explain with rations as to why something makes sense.
Rations. I'm hungry. I need rations.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. So, like for instance, like with the acid spitting croco bear things, right? Like if all the players are dealing with the acid spitting croco bears, I wasn't here for this, so I'm really just kind of like assuming. But like then maybe Bex's character doesn't feel as targeted as if it's like, no, like Bex, you and you alone have acid spitting croco bears, and then everyone else has normal croco bears. Like as long as a character's like, no, like everyone's getting this challenge, while this challenge does not favor me as much, like everyone's dealing with it.
Yeah, they down 3 party members, so yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you though. It just depends. Quick jump to the chat. Castle Rake, that's a big no in my games. Mismatched levels, hard no.
Oh yeah, no.
Anyone have any
no.
experience with that or would allow it? Artificer, Bex?
Traditions encourage stuff like that, and they had like elves used to gain experience a lot more slowly than humans because they're very long lived. And I saw the logic behind that, but like a level 2 elven wizard versus like a level 8 human fighting man is what's the point?
Yeah. I think unless there's a specific reason, like a very specific strain of logic as to why someone's level would be lower, I wouldn't introduce a character or allow a character to be put in like that.
So, I said hard no. And actually, George, plug your ears. Actually, in our next campaign, Artificer's character is 5 levels higher than the rest of the party. He is also a quest giver and main NPC/PC in the world who's going to go with them on an adventure or two. But I'm going to throw some really hard shit for him to deal with and then like some lighter minion shit for them to deal with because I want to impart the fact that they are weak, but he's just going to be a guest here and there, and they're going to eventually catch up to him. All right, you're good. Thank you.
All right. I'm assuming that was about something that I care about, but
Very much so.
You are correct.
But yes, I do have different level.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
perfect example. I've told several times about the Salt Marsh campaign, where I have a group that's trying to not have realm space collapse because Shar's being a bitch. Anyway, they're going through to retrieve like what they call 3 Elder Stones, which is kind of like based upon the same as the black obelisks throughout Forgotten Realms. Don't know about it? Look it up. Anyway, in one of the temples, in the second temple here, it has been corrupted and distorted. So there are time and multiverse bubbles that float around the temple itself, and 3 of the characters have already been switched out with somebody else. Now, one of the characters,
Yeah, that's so cool. You told me about this. Sorry.
he got so one of the characters got switched out with his father, which had died in the timeline that they're in, but in a previous one was not. Well, his father's a level 20 wizard from the Blackstaff Tower, so he's having a whole lot of fun playing with that. So, but yeah.
Castle Rake followed up with, so what happens when you have 4 players that make it to level 6 and 3 die and do new level or characters at level 1? Don't have them do characters at level 1 because they're gonna be a liability and drag down. I mean, if you talk to them and the party's cool with that and they understand that, like,
No one's cool with being level 1.
so, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
it's true.
That's what I'm saying. But like, if there's an understanding at the table and then you as the DM is going to scale it properly. But nah, if your party's in the middle of a dungeon that's a level 6 dungeon and you've got 1 level 6 character, it's not going to be a good time. You've got either him babysitting them and just like trying to keep them alive through the whole thing, or all of them TPKing really fast because of that. Have them create characters of the same level, be creative as a DM, find ways to get them in there and integrated.
It this way, a level 6 guy is a veteran, right? He's been around the block. He's going to look for other people of about his skill level. He's going to look for other professionals.
He's not going to grab some greenhorns and be like, let's all go out and die, guys.
Right. This isn't old World of Warcraft where you take a party around and go experience everybody up.
Yo, I got power leveled a lot in WoW. I'm just gonna say.
So if that would happen in most of my games, the new party members start 1 level behind the existing character.
And that's not bad. And that still
No.
that still punishes. And that still punishes for the death and like gives them some, oh man, we got to catch back up to our homie. Yeah, I can see it.
Is adversarial. I'm against it philosophically.
Yeah,
You're not against
you're a
the
big
DM.
mixer. That's why.
No, see, the story is between the DM and the characters. You're not fighting each other. This is why I don't DM, because I'm adversarial. I want to kill these motherfuckers. They're screwing up my story. They're not following my beautifully curated plot that I had laid out. They wanted to go investigate Old Man River's fucking farm, and there's nothing there, and they're just spending 10 hours rolling spot checks. No, but like it's
10
as
points,
a player.
10 points for self-awareness, and maybe I don't want to play in your campaign. I love you. I love you.
I can't improvise the plot. I have a plot, and if you don't follow it,
Yeah.
Okay.
You need to be flexible. Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm a player. That's my role. But
What I'm hearing is that everyone's wrong except me, and you guys just do what I say. All right, thank you for the session. Appreciate it. Sorry, go ahead.
And actually, we are going to be wrapping up in about 5 minutes here, so let's hit it, guys.
It was meant to be a joke. You're not supposed to follow through with that.
Yeah. What the? Oh.
Sorry,
So
Bex.
anyway, here we go.
Guys, no, keep going.
Bex, please continue your thought.
you shouldn't think of it as like punishing the players. I get that you want death to have impact, but like the impact is that they've connected with these people and they're dead, like they're gone. You know, Bilbo Swaggins or whatever, your arcane trickster died. Like you liked being that guy and you can't be him anymore. You got to make a new character. You shouldn't punish the players. You're trying to build a narrative with them. So you should enable them to help write the story that you want to write.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, Robo, what's up? Showing up at the end of the stream. Way to go, buddy. Sorry. Had to throw that out there. But you got to know that people can die in the story, says Inked 3D guy too.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. But don't punish your players and have them come back as a lower level. But I mean, I can see both sides to it. And again, as we've said many times, it all comes down to session 0. That's something that you should lay out in the very beginning. Hey, if you guys die, are you cool with coming back a level lower than you were, or creating a new character a level lower than you were? Or do you just want to be the same level? Or do you guys want to be freaking level 1s? Like,
it's just the verbiage I object to. The idea that you need to punish the characters for anything or the players.
Maybe I misspoke then. Sorry.
Well, I think again, I think it all comes back to the campaign you're running. I agree that, like, personally, I don't like to punish my players when their characters die, but like, I don't know. If we're playing a really hardcore survivalist thing and they're like, yeah, like we want to suffer when we die, I'll be like, okay, you guys are masochists.
We'll play Daddy.
Yeah. So like, I think at the end of the day, like, it always depends. It's like we can always express our opinions and our personal taste, but like at the end of the day, it's what you and the DM and the other players want.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of this is our opinions, but it's steeped in a lot of experience, a lot of understanding, and a lot of logic. I might stretch to say, because I shouldn't be saying that. But these guys, that's why I bring all these guys. Yeah, this has been most excellent. I've enjoyed this very much. I think we'll hit one more question. And then we'll be done. What else you guys got for us? Oh, and I'm down to run Palladium, or I'm down to play in Palladium, Castle Rake. Jump in that Discord. Come hang out with us.
Yeah, we've been trying to find a VTT that runs it.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. Not having any.
No? Pain in the keister there, eh?
Well, I mean, so Palladium, like Rift's universe and that, has been out for quite a long time. It's kind of like been on the back burners for stuff. Like, it has a lot of source books, so like a lot of material. Yeah, I got a question for you that run the game.
I'm vetoing it.
Okay.
You don't have that power on my streams.
Yeah.
Sit down.
All right, screw you. I'm leaving then.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. All right, hit us.
Yeah.
Hit us with it.
Do you play background music during your session?
Yes.
That's a fucking Luli.
Now, do you find that distracts more on an online game than it does in person?
I have only run in-person games with my daughters, and I put on background music, and they fucking love it. On Foundry, they've got a really neat integrated playlist thing. The thing that I found it distracted most from was me trying to set up my playlists and get my songs going through Groovy or Rhythm Bot or whatever. That was the challenge that I had with it. But with Foundry's integrated like playlist system, super simple. I upload my songs, I have the playlist. It's all right in the system. I don't have to switch windows or anything. I click a button, boom, music, and it is so good. You need it. It helps you set that tone, man.
I like playlists. I like music. I
Just
at
sent
the
me
start.
like you just sent me like 20 of them yesterday too.
That's true. I sent him a lot. I was like, oh, you could use this for this and this for this, and I just kept sending him stuff because I was going through like a specific playlist from a game, Undertale. If anyone knows that, I'm sure some of you do because it was a Smash indie title in 2015. But anyway, but I use Groovy normally when I'm doing online stuff, and so I am actually pretty consistently like thinking about how the plot's going and what music I want to play next for it. A lot of time the music's down for most players. Like normally they either like they have it really low, which is fine. It's supposed to be ambient. It's not supposed to be dominating the story. I also like playing music in person. Like if I'm playing it in person, it tends to be more looped and it tends to be more like consistent. Whereas if I'm doing it online, because I at least feel like it's less distracting for me to be like quickly changing the songs, it's easier for me to switch that stuff. As for distracting, I haven't found it distracting either way. The only time it's really distracting is when I'm like, oh shit, this is a really good song, and I want to like bop my head to it for a couple of seconds and then go back to DMing. But yeah.
Oh man, my Blade Singer in the community campaign is themed after Devil May Cry character, so whenever I Blade Sing, I just put on Devil Trigger. That's super fun.
You're such a nerd. I've made a
Sorry.
Oh, Bex. Oh, we need to become friends. All right. Okay. I just saw the post. Anyway, side note. Please continue with your things.
Bex has made some pretty fucking sweet playlists too for me, and yeah, she does a good job.
Yeah, I'm focused on the Undertale meme right now, so I'm like that's where I'm going right now.
Whoa, that's literally the music he was just sending me yesterday. Was all from Undertale.
That's what I said. That's why I think she posted that. I have a friend of mine actually who is getting into it like right now. She hasn't played it, and like she just did her second playthrough of a pacifist, and she's debating to do a genocide run right now. So that's something. But sorry, this is not.
I'm gonna cut you off.
Yeah.
We got one more question from Inked 3D Guy 2, and then we're gonna call it a night.
Sure.
And this one's a really fun one, and it's a really great one to go off on. What is the most bizarre things you have done as a player that your DM hated, but went with? Hey Bex. Why don't you throw it out there for me?
Building a character that halves all physical damage by raging and can furthermore deflect damage each round.
2d8 plus your strength modifier times 2. Yeah, that was pretty great. That was pretty. What else? Not just for me. What else you got? You must have something else, Bex. I know you do.
Oh God, so many. Okay, when we were playing AD&D, we just got the Scientist Handbook, and I made a Scientist.
Artificer laughs.
And as we were leveling up, I'm like, Disintegrate's really good, and my DM looked it over, and he like started crying. He's like, you can't have this. This is gonna ruin everything. It's gonna just trivialize every fight forever. And I didn't take it then.
Yeah.
But then 3rd edition came out and we transitioned to using that one. And the Scion's Handbook came out. And I was like, I'm taking Disintegrate. And I used it every fight. I just spammed fucking great. Because it didn't have a spell slot structure, it had psionic points. So you could just
shit.
That's amazing.
Oh, that's unnecessary.
Oh, but it's so cool. And there's the
It-
two
it
kind
was
of
very
DMs
broken.
George and I are.
It was very broken, but oh so good.
Okay, that was. Thank you for that. That tickled me. Artificer, how about you, man?
I mean, God, it's too many. I mean, I'll kind of go off of what Bex said. That second edition Sionis Handbook. My DM for sure. When it came out, first thing out of his mouth was like, "Nobody gets disintegrate." I said, "Oh come on." He's like, "Especially you." I'm like, all right, that's cool.
It was had to be disintegrate, didn't it?
I said that's fine. So I took something else. In that Sionis Handbook is a psionic ability called Detonate, but it only works on inorganic matter. So I made a Sionis thief that was an assassin and would kill his victims in a tavern. So said victim would be having a meal, and then as they would be eating their meal, I would concentrate on the food that they ate and detonate it in their stomach. And they would just look like they would have a heart attack or something and collapse at the table.
Oh, that's so good. But oh man, I was thinking you were gonna say like their spoon while they were putting it in their mouth or something, but that's great.
No.
Yeah, that's
So,
too obvious, right?
It looked all natural, so it was like nobody could figure it out.
It looks all natural.
Looks
Yeah, it
all
just looked like they
natural.
collapsed and had a heart attack. There's no stab wounds. There's no poison.
When they get to the autopsy, this man's stomach is exploded.
Yeah, it's and so they were kind of like it was very interesting.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah,
Like
he's very notorious in Forgotten Realms.
That's
Ed hates that character, by the way.
the Sionis Handbook sounds pretty fucking like a problem child.
It's in the resources on the Discord. Plug.
I'm definitely gonna be stealing. Yeah, we've got a huge
Oh,
cache
oh,
of
yeah.
resources in our Discord. I'm definitely gonna be stealing some of those abilities. Because Bex, you have to plug your ears now.
Okay.
I've got some in Eltigrad the Third Age. I've got some, and if any of my players are watching, don't. I've got some monks, because it's super low magic, so there's not a lot of casters and stuff. But I've got some monks, and the reason that they have like monk abilities is because they're actually like psionists. And I'm taking a bunch of stuff from the Dungeon Coach. Another plug for the Dungeon Coach. The Dungeon Coach's psionic class that he just released. Join his Patreon, and you can get access to that. It's freaking sweet. And I'm gonna go dive into that psionics handbook as well. All right, Bex, you can come back. Thumbs up. Back. Bex. Back. Works. Go tag.
Back.
Okay, cool.
Alright.
All right, awesome. George, I call you George. Chaos. You
I
dox,
don't-
you dox
George-
yourself.
George-
Yeah, you dox
George
yourself.
is fine. Yeah, my name is George. Everyone, in case you weren't aware. I I don't-
is nothing.
I haven't played a lot of players, and I actually haven't played anything that I would consider to be incredibly frustrating. If I'm being honest, probably the most frustrating player is the player that I want to be playing in the Dragon Riders campaign, who's going to be an illusion mage specialist. And I am going to try to get so fucking creative and so infuriating with the things I conjure up. And that's what I'm going to try to do.
I'm gonna give you the abilities to do it.
Yeah, that's all I asked for. Because I started DMing for the most part, so like I wouldn't say I'm like a super comfortable player, at least when it comes to like really exploiting and really taking advantage of certain things. Like I've played a Hexblade Warlock, and I've played a Bladesinger, and I've done College of Valor. Like I've done the archetypes that are like, oh, these are super good, and they are, but like I've never had a disintegrate moment or a detonate moment. That's what I would say.
I'm in the same school as you. I was trying to think, and I think the most like I don't know if it qualifies bizarre, but like the most lenience I got. Okay, hold on. Actually, This was all pretty just fucking bizarre. So in a campaign that Bex and I were players in when I met Bex and we played for a few months, we jumped into a font of magic and got
Oh god.
got teleported to Ravnica, but our DM made it a cyberpunk version of Ravnica, right? And my character was a Psy Warrior. It was right after like the official Psy Warriors got released, and so I was trying to be all cool and like teleport around and stuff. And he gave me some cool abilities for that. But I ended up getting the molten bronze armor from Theros, but reskinned as nanite armor. And I ended up getting a fat revolver that was a witch hunter revolver. And so I was able to just like teleport around and shoot people. And then we went back to regular D&D world, and man, he let us get away with murder because that was fun. Yeah. One of my favorite moments on that is all that character would ever do is because we'd fight all these huge things like giants and dragons. My character would just teleport onto their back and just start whacking into the back of their neck constantly. That was just really satisfying. All right. I think that's it for tonight, guys. It's about time.
Yeah, it's my bedtime, you know.
We were having too much fun. I'm trying to keep them a little bit shorter so that when I upload them to YouTube, they're more digestible, but we have such a good time here. It's hard to stop, you know?
This was a really fun experience. Thanks for inviting me.
X, thanks so much for coming. It was a pleasure having you. You'll definitely be coming back to kick it with us again on the DM discussion. I got to come up with a better name for this thing, so brainstorm for me, peeps. Drop them in Discord. Another thing is this Friday, we will be attempting to stream our Dragon Riders campaign. I have a laptop. It's a lot of work on my poor little laptop to run Foundry, to open an extra tab so we have the player's view for OBS Studios and stream it all. It puts a lot of strain on it, and we were having mechanical issues and hardware issues, and software issues, and yada yada yada. So we took a 2-week break. We're coming back. If it is not up on stream, go subscribe to my YouTube. The link is down below. Session 0 and Session 1 are both already uploaded onto the YouTube if you care to watch. And I plan on uploading every session up onto YouTube at the very least. And I might, I think I'm new to Twitch, but I think there's some hosting thing you mentioned, Artificer, where I can put them on Twitch too.
Yes.
Yep.
Cool. I'll do that as well. Aside from that, everyone say goodbye.
Ciao. Thanks for joining.
Via
Via
Consithus.
Did you just say Hail Sithis?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Bex, for joining. Thank you, Artificer, for joining. Thank you, Chaos, for joining. I love you all so much. All of our lovely viewers out there, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Thank you guys so much for engaging. We love interaction with our viewers. We love to answer your questions. We love to talk about the nitty gritty with you all. I hope that you guys all jumped in the Discord and I get to play community games with you. And I can't wait to DM for you guys and play with you guys and yada yada yada. Love y'all. Out.